Hello and welcome to this video on multiplying and dividing negative numbers. So whenever we are multiplying or dividing any numbers, a really good starting point is of course your times tables. So do try and learn these because it will make this exercise that much easier. So the rules for multiplying and dividing negative numbers are as follows. And if you've watched the videos on adding and subtracting negative numbers, then these will look quite similar. So here you can see that if we multiply a positive number by a positive number, we end up with a positive number. If we multiply a negative by a positive number, we get a negative number. If we multiply a positive by a negative number, we get a negative number. And if we multiply a negative by a negative, we get a positive. Similarly, if we divide a positive by a positive number, we get a positive number. If we divide a negative number by a positive number, we get a negative number. If we divide a positive number by a negative number, we get a negative number. And if we divide a negative number by a negative number, we get a positive number. Now, there is one really subtle difference between adding and subtracting negative numbers and the rules surrounding those, and the rules with multiplying and dividing negative numbers. So a quick reminder of adding and subtracting. When we're adding and subtracting, the rules were applied when the signs were right next door to each other. So here I would apply this rule here because you can see exactly the same up here, and I get a minus, so that becomes a minus. And then the question is just 3 take away 7, which gave me -4. However, I will now show you an example with multiplying. So here they had to be right next door to each other for those rules to apply. With multiplying, that is not the case. So the signs do not have to be right next door to each other. So here I have got a negative number multiplied by a positive number. So if I've got a negative number multiplied by a positive number, then the answer will be negative. So you can see the signs don't need to be right next door to each other for the rules to apply, whereas with the adding, they did need to be right next door to each other for that rule to apply. So here I'm just going to do 3 multiplied by 7 because I know my answer's got to be negative. Because I've got -3 multiplied by +7, I'm just going to do 3 times by 7 and then apply the fact that the answer here is negative. So 3 multiplied by 7 is 21. And because I have got a negative multiplied by a positive, I know my answer is going to be negative. So my answer is -21 or -21. Example number 2 says work out 18 divided by -3. Now this is a positive number. We know that just because it doesn't have a minus in front of it. We don't need to put the plus sign there, but I've just put it there just to help, which shows that we are dividing a positive by a negative. So if we're dividing a positive by a negative, then this rule applies and my answer is going to be negative. So let's just do the calculation. 18 divided by 3 is 6, but because my rule tells me that the answer is going to be negative, it's going to be -6 or -6, same thing. Example 3. Here it says work out 6 multiplied by -5. Well, this is an invisible plus sign here, so it's positive multiplied by a negative. If we're doing a positive multiplied by a negative, then my answer is going to be negative. So I'm going to do 6 times 5, which is 30, and my answer therefore is minus 30 or negative 30. Example 4. Work out minus 32 divided by 4. Well, remember, if this hasn't got a sign in front of it, it just means it is positive. So I'm dividing a negative by a positive. If I'm dividing a negative by a positive, that's this one here. So my answer is going to be negative. So let me just do the maths. It's just 32 divided by 4, which is 8. But my rule tells me that the answer is negative, so it is negative 8 or minus 8. Example 5. Work out minus 9 multiplied by minus 3. So here I'm multiplying a negative by a negative. So that means this rule applies. If I'm multiplying a negative by a negative, my answer is positive. So 9 3s 27. So my answer is positive 27, which you can either write like that, or if you wish to, you can write positive 27 like that. Example number 6, work out minus 54 divided by minus 9. So I'm dividing a minus by a minus, or I'm dividing a negative by a negative. So it's this rule. So my answer is positive. So all I need to do is 54 divided by 9, which is 6. And it's positive 6, which you can just leave like that, or you can put a plus sign in front of it. Okay, here are some questions for you to have a go at by yourself. So pause the video now, have a go at these, and then restart the video to see the answers. And here are the answers. Well done for having a go at those.